So following on from a video I did last week about Gary Lineker and his controversial social media post, he is now expected to leave the BBC. Some outlets are reporting that he's already left, and others are reporting that he's going to announce that he's going to leave today, Monday the 19th of May. Now, I've gone to the BBC News website itself just to get this straight from the source, effectively, because some less than reputable organisations are already saying that he's left. He has not left the BBC yet, although he is expected to announce that he's going to leave the BBC today. Now, of course, Lineker was meant to step down as the host of Match of the Day at the end of this season anyway. However, he was meant to stay on as the host of coverage for other football matches, such as those in the FA Cup and the upcoming World Cup as well in 2026. However, due to this recent controversy, he is now expected to leave the BBC entirely at the end of the football season, which is of course coming right up. Now, this is not the first controversy when it comes to Gary Lineker. He has courted a lot of it, and a lot of people have said that very much, the BBC are very much looking to get rid of him, and this is the excuse that they needed to do so. I'll let you guys give your opinions about that in the comments if you want, but let me just read out this full article on the BBC themselves, because they have actually acknowledged there's an issue here and something is potentially coming about this as well. When the BBC says that Lineker is expected to leave the BBC, he's probably going to leave the BBC at that point. They're not really going to report on speculation that is baseless about themselves, effectively. So let's dive into it, guys. Let's go through this article, and yes, another controversy surrounding Gary Lineker. He's very much a polarising figure in the world of football, and again, I'll let you guys debate that in the comments, because I know you will. I know this is going to get some reaction from you guys. So Gary Lineker is expected to leave the BBC, with an announcement expected on Monday. Speculation is mounting the 64-year-old will step down after he presents his final Match of the Day next weekend. It is understood that Lineker, listed as the highest paid BBC presenter, will also no longer present the corporation's coverage of the World Cup in 2026. But last week he had to apologise after sharing a social media post about Zionism that included an illustration of a rat, historically used as an anti-Semitic insult. Lineker said he very much regretted the references, adding that he would never knowingly share anything anti-Semitic and that he had deleted the post once he had learned about the symbolism in the image. Last week, BBC Director General Tim Davies said the BBC's reputation is held by everybody, and when someone makes a mistake, it costs us. It is understood that the BBC boss has considered Lineker's position untenable. The former England striker has attracted criticism before on his post on social media in the past. He was temporarily suspended by the BBC in March 2023 after an impartiality row over a post which he said language used to promote government asylum policy was not dissimilar to that used by Germany in the 30s. The BBC's social media rules were then rewritten to say presenters of a flagship programme outside news and current affairs, including Match of the Day, have a particular responsibility to the BBC's impartiality because of their profile on the BBC. In November 2024, Lineker announced his departure from Match of the Day, but said he would remain with the BBC to front FA Cup and World Cup coverage. Last month, Lineker said in an interview that he believed the BBC wanted him to leave Match of the Day as he negotiated a new contract last year, saying, "Well, perhaps they wanted me to leave. There was certainly a sense of that." The BBC didn't comment on Lineker's suggestion at the time, but called him a world-class presenter and added that Match of the Day continually evolves for changing viewing habits. Kelly Cates, Mark Chapman and Gabby Logan have been announced as the new presenters for the show at the start of the next season. Lineker has not publicly commented on his departure from the BBC. In his interview last month, Lineker also reflected on his 2023 tweet, saying that he did not regret the comments and added, "Would I, in hindsight, do it again? No, I wouldn't, because of all the nonsense that came with it." Speaking to the BBC's Amol Rajan, he indicated that his next career move won't be more telly, adding, "I think I'll step back from that for now. I think I'll probably focus more on the podcasting world." Roger Mosey, a former director of BBC Sport and BBC TV News, said that Lineker could not be both the BBC's highest paid presenter and a social media activist. "In my view, if you are the BBC's highest paid presenter, you should not be taking the kind of political lead he has been doing," he told BBC Radio Radio 4's Today programme. Many people this morning may be thinking, well, I agree with Gary about Palestine, or I agreed with Gary about the EU. But imagine if he had been tweeting pro-Leave or pro-Israel. Would you still be supporting his right to speak out? He added that it was no longer viable for Lineker to front the World Cup, because if he did, it would have been through psychodrama of what Gary does think about Trump, what Gary thinks about the latest international developments. Yeah, I mean, like I said in the intro, like for me, I think that the BBC's been trying to get rid of Gary Lineker for a long time. I feel like when his contract was up at the end of this season, he was always going to go, and I get it. I get why he wants to leave. I get why he doesn't want all the rubbish that kind of comes with the job, really, because there's a lot of pressure and a lot of things going on. So I can totally see why he wants to leave. He's in his mid-60s now. He's coming up to what is normally a retirement age. Why would you want the hassle when you're a multi-millionaire and you're comfortable? And you've also got, on the side of things, Goalhanger as well, which is the production company that does the likes of the rest of football, the rest is politics and stuff like that. There's so much that they've got going on really at that point. So I don't see why he'd want to come back, really. I think he's really just gonna leave. I really do think that's probably right at this point, I get why he'd want to leave. Why would he want all the hassle? He's given his service to the BBC for 25 years. I think he's presented Match of the Day since 1999, hasn't he? So it's been 26 years. And really, at this point, they're just saying, get out and don't let the door hit you on the rear end at this point. So, yeah, it doesn't really feel like the kind of great goodbye that he probably deserves, to be honest, in my opinion, for someone who has served the BBC for so long, been presenting one of their flagship programmes for so long, and he'll be sorely missed, He'll really, really be sorely missed. I really will. I'll miss him. I think he's great, but he's going to stick around with the rest of his football, so he's still going to be in the kind of public sphere and everything. I really, really enjoy that podcast. I'll still keep listening to it. That's not going to change. And to be honest, yeah, Match of the Day, I think will suffer for it, even though I think those three presenters are very capable and very good presenters, but they're not Gary Lineker. They don't have that kind of star power. They're good at what they do. I respect them, but they ain't on that level. But anyway, that's just my opinion on things, guys. What's yours? Is Gary Lineker right to leave the BBC if he does indeed leave today? Was he pushed out? Was he forced out? Have the BBC been trying to get rid of him for years now? Because I think so. Ever since 2023, when there was that whole controversy and he got suspended, I think then they realised Lineker is more popular than the BBC. He has more power than us, because they've suspended him and thought, all the presenters, all the commentators and everything, they'll still work for us. It's all right. We don't need Lineker. And they all stood with him. And I got to respect him for that. And at that point, the BBC probably realised, well, he's bigger than us. He's better than us. We need to get rid of him. We can't have him all this power. So they were never going to renew the contract. They would have given him an offer, which would have been like half his pay probably, or something like that. And then they're saying, oh, well, he's a money grabber. He's only in it for the money. No, he wants to be paid for his services. Just like anybody. If your employer said to you, right, we're going to keep you on, you're going to extend your contract with us, we're going to cut your pay in half, would you accept that? Hell no. Why would you accept that? And it shouldn't be any different for Lineker. He might earn more money than you, but the principle is still the same. But I know that's going to rub a lot of people up the wrong way as well. So let me know what your thoughts are about this. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. And we'll see you soon for much more content on the world of football just like this. See you soon, guys. Have a great day.